Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Legend of Korra Book 4 Balance episode review. This one's going to be for episode 3, K403, the Coronation. And overall, yeah, excellent episode. I really enjoyed this one. Obviously, like, the first two episodes were, like, really good, but, like, the first one's the intro episode, you know, it's got the whole thing, you know, 3 years on, catching up after the time skip, the big reveal, like, oh, what's Korra up to, what's going on here? Second episode, really emotional journey, completely focused on Korra, excellent. And in this one, almost felt like the first kind of like normal episode of the book. Like, okay, plot's really gonna get into gear. We're gonna have Korra as, you know, the other side of the kind of side plot of the show in many ways, and it just worked so well. Lots of stuff going on with nearly everyone, which I really liked. And we didn't really catch up with Asami, but we know there's kind of something coming down the road with Hiroshi, wondering when that's going to happen. But just, yeah, a little bit with everyone, and I really like that. That it wasn't that like, okay, Toph was revealed at the end of the last episode, we only get one or two scenes with them here. We get a little bit more, but we used to get time with Toph and Korra, so I like that. Yeah, let me get into some specifics now. I'll focus on the Korra and Toph stuff, since it is separate from the rest of everything going on. And yeah, like, maybe not exactly what I predicted, because if you watched my speculation video that I did during the week, I kind of predicted that maybe Toph will be a little bit more spiritual. She'd be talking more about kind of enlightenment type stuff, and she did a little bit of that, which I actually really liked when she talked about how, you know, she's in the swamp now and she kind of gets that everything's connected. From the swamp she can see everything everywhere because the branches extend out everywhere. She can see Sue, she can see Lin, and I like that. And she gives an explanation for why she's in the city and stuff like that, and you do get some of that. But what I did predict right was that she would be kind of tough on Korra and wouldn't be so like super sensitive about what Korra's going through. There was a level of that, and you're like, okay, I'll do you a favor, you know, to stop you whining and stuff like that. But she was very tough. She was like, we're here to do work, and then we kind of get like a kind of bitter work part 2 with Toph training Korra, and then she's like, you're the worst avatar I've ever trained. Admittedly, there's only one other one, but you're the worst. They were really fun scenes. The voice actress for the older Toph this time around, I have to check up who the actress is, but she did a really good job of kind of doing an older Toph, but keeping the character there, but just as an older character. It worked really well. She's just like, you know, she's having the phone. She references the swamp benders, which I really like. That, you know, they can't take a punch. And she's like, I love getting to beat you up. It was great. Imagine me in my prime. It was so fun to see Toph like that. I kind of wasn't expecting her to like be that similar, given that she's gone on her own emotional journey. But yeah, there's some pretty cool kind of just scenes of, you know, Toph still got it even at this older age, and Korra, you really see like what's holding her back, and then you get the reveal out of kind of nowhere, like, you know, how are you meant to heal with some of the metal still left in your body? And you're like, instantly what I went to was the theory that everyone had, like, Sue left some of it in there on purpose, but then Toph kind of explains it away. Maybe there's something going on in the background that you know, Lin and Sue, you know, they took their time learning metal bending. You know, there were no like prodigies at it basically. So that was interesting in that, like, just because you know, Sue and Lin are excellent metal benders, but I suppose what she's saying is, you know, they're not as good they're not as good as me. So that was kind of nice from Toph, and she's just like, you know, there's still some of that left, and that's probably what's keeping you from healing fully. So that's what's keeping her from probably reconnecting with Rava, in that the metal represents, you know, the kind of thing that nearly killed her and holding her back from entering the Avatar state. And then when she asked Toph to do it, like, Toph can do it. She offers to do it, Korra lies down, but the second she tries to do it, you know, the pain comes back. She's like, no, it hurts. And then when she does it again, she has the flashback to nearly being killed, and then Toph kind of points out the whole situation of, you know, like, you know, you don't want it to be out, do you? And Korra's like, no, why would I want that? I want to be back to being the Avatar more than anything. And Toph just kind of points out, like, you may be saying that, but it just by the way you're acting, you know, it seems like, you know, as long as the poison is still in there and it's not coming out, you can't go back to being the Avatar, you can't get back into the action, and you won't get hurt again. And to some extent, that's that. She wants more than anything to do that, but she's afraid of getting hurt again. She's afraid of that happening again. Maybe afraid of dying and stuff like that. Losing the Avatar state and connection to Rava completely. So that's an interesting dynamic that expands even more on what we learned in the last episode. So that's even great continuity, you know, that we thought that, okay, there's some spiritual thing that she hasn't quite got, but no. As much as she wants to recover more than anything else, she herself is holding back her recovery because, to some extent, maybe she knew that there was metal inside her the whole time. Maybe she knows that it wasn't all out and that's what's holding her back, and she just tried to recover, but knew deep down that she wouldn't unless this was gone. And Toph leaves her with the kind of situation of like, it's up to you. Only you now can take it out. Because you won't let me do it. It's up to you. When you finally make the decision that you truly want to recover and you want to get back to being who you were, it'll happen. And I like that Toph is really tough on her and like isn't taking any of her kind of like, I'm not going to say whining because Korra is going through a lot, but in Toph's eyes that's what she is doing, and she's holding herself back. You know, I don't have time for all of your issues. You know, I came here to be, you know, peaceful and calm in the swamp. And it's just like, look, there's no better place to be alone than here. And maybe, I don't know what specifically is going to happen. His next episode is The Calling is the name of the next episode. And now that has extra meaning in that Korra's probably going to have to go on some journey of her own next episode, maybe slightly guided by Toph, and that will help her kind of like get over her fear or something like that, whatever's really holding her back, and finally get the metal out herself and get back to full power. It could be amazing next episode if there's a big scene with like her talking to Rava. I'd love to hear April Stewart come back and voice Rava and just have some words between the two, just because, you know, it was back in Book 2 Spirits is the last time we really saw them speak together, and given that all the other past lives are gone, this would make the most sense as being, you know, the time for Korra and Rava to talk again. But enough on that. That's an excellent side of the episode. The other side of the episode focuses on Mako, Bolin, Prince Wu, Kuvira, and even a little bit of Su Yin, plus some other stuff going on. But this is really good. This is where we're going to get to focus on the other main plot other than Korra, and that being Kuvira and the whole Bolin thing as well. We see Bolin and Mako reunite, and Mako's really proud of Bolin for kind of getting an important position and kind of really moving up in the world, finding what he's kind of good at. But then Kuvira makes the big move during the coronation that she's just like, she accepts the Kyoshi Medal of Honor, you know, the highest kind of award in the Earth Kingdom, wants to make a speech, and when she makes the speech she basically declares that, you know, like, I'm the interim ruler, as the intro of the episode states. This guy isn't worth being your leader, so I'm keeping my role and I will be the leader of the new Earth Empire. The Earth Kingdom doesn't exist anymore, so this guy doesn't have a role. And that was an interesting idea because Prince Wu's the coronation reaction was so kind of tame. It's just like, woo, woo. And then the second Kuvira announces this, everyone just starts clapping. And it reminded me of Star Wars Episode 3, when Palpatine declares, you know, the Republic is changing to an empire. And Padme makes the line, you know, like, is this how liberty dies? With thunderous applause. And that's the kind of sense that you get, that she's done all this aid work and stuff like that, and that's what the people are clapping for. And a lot of people, apart from the really clever people there, don't realize that the key thing here is that she says, you know, like, I took this over by force, and if everyone tries to stop me, I'm going to use my army against you. And they're all worrying about how large her army is in the first place, and even though she's done good things and that she has stabilized the Earth Kingdom, she did initially promise to give up her role the second she done that, and that doesn't come into play here. And admittedly, you know, she's not completely wrong about, you know, Prince Wu, and that, like, we get that other side of the episode, and that you do get a more serious side of Wu along with the kind of silly side as well, and that she points out that this guy isn't fit to be your ruler, you know, like, he's been living here in the lap of luxury all these years while I've been on the front lines fixing the Earth Kingdom, And Mako is arguably the one who points this out the best, and that he says, as much as, when he's arguing with Bolin later on, that, yeah, look, she's stabilized the world. I think he points it out to Wu, but what have you done? You've just been here all this time, and while she's actually been out there helping. Now, he doesn't specifically say, but, she's using her iron fist, but he says that to Bolin, in that, I don't think dominating, taking the kingdom by force is considered helping people. And the big line, I think, from Bolin that he's maybe going to realize is wrong is when he says, I'm going to go on my train, and everywhere we go, we're going to bring freedom where we go, which isn't the case. We saw when she took over Yai that as much as she's giving aid to the people there, she's also taking over the place. All of the stuff that they own is basically considered property of the Earth Empire, Kuvira's, and she seems to just be doing that. Like in Republic City, Varrick takes the spirit tree stuff, which may affect the balance of humans and spirits in Republic City. We've yet to see where that's going, but I'll talk about that more later. And she's basically mainly taken over the Earth Kingdom to get this situation where if Republic City wants to take her out of power, they won't get any metal and they won't be able to grow, they won't be able to support the infrastructure and stuff like that because they own so much of the kingdom that produces metal. And they have this situation where they just own the market and all of this stuff. So, super interesting political situation going on in addition to great character stuff and all of this other stuff. So, I really love this episode, as you can probably tell. Anything else to mention? As I said, there's a lot of stuff going on. The whole, Su Yin comes in, Kuvira's talking to Bolin. That's a really nice talk, actually, as well, Kuvira talking to Bolin, because you see the different sides of her personality come out again, and that when she talks to Su, she knows that Su knows who she is, so she's kind of very aggressive. But when she talks to Bolin, she's very careful not to come across as, like, evil, When I said I'd crushed him in my fist, it was just, strong rhetoric or something like that to make them know we mean business. Yet when she talks to Su Yin, who clearly knows what's happened because of whatever revolution in Zhao that happened, she said, we're coming for Zhao, so that's going to be a plot at some point. There's going to be an invasion of Zhao. Maybe that'll be the episode where we get the flashback to Baatar and Kuvira leaving. And then even then you get that scene between Su Yin and Baatar Jr. where she says, like, hello Baatar Jr. and she's like, it's just Baatar. And for a second I was just like, wait, they killed the father or something like that? Is that why he's going under Baatar? But then I assumed, that's a bit much even for this show, maybe. But we don't see Baatar, his father, Baatar Jr.'s father, Su Yin's husband. So maybe there's something there, but I think it's more of just, I've left home, I'm doing my own thing now, I'm just Baatar. Get rid of the junior part. That was interesting. We didn't see Kai or Opal in the episode, which was interesting. But I did like that towards the end of the episode, you got to see that Tenzin is entrusting this big mission where, like, everyone's out searching for her, but you are the kind of team. And then you're kind of like, who's this going to be? Is he talking to the whole Earth Kingdom? But no, he's just talking to his kids, and he's like, you guys go out there. And I like that because in the past, like, he was afraid to let them fight. Like, back in book 1, it was only, like, them kind of going against what Lin wanted when they started to fight. But now they're actually entrusted with that, which was interesting. The three of them are going out to search for Korra, so that's going to be interesting. Then the Mako and Wu stuff, actually, that's very interesting. Wu in general in the episode. In that you see that he's more focused about his party, the Coronation party, getting all these relics, just getting the position that he thinks he's born into. And that's a big thing that they play with in this episode, the idea that Kuvira points out that, just a line of people born into a role has led the kingdom to ruin, leading to what happened when the queen fell. The city just fell apart because of the one ruler is gone. It's better off the way I'm doing it, and the mass of people agree with that. And Wu kind of is just more obsessed with, like, oh, I'm going to be the power, I'm going to have so much fun. Other people are going to deal with the important stuff. And when you get all the stuff, like, he's angry about that. He doesn't want Kuvira to take his role. But not because he thinks he's going to do a good job, just because he's more upset that Kuvira is getting all the lap of luxury stuff that he wants, because she says, I get what I want, which was, I found it very interesting that she could basically take his room that he's been living in for like 3 years, just because she arrived and he was just forced out, and you could see that's the power that she has. But then the scene, where like Mako has to save him when he throws the smoothie at someone, and he goes to the kind of restaurant, the kind of model Earth Palace or Earth throne room thing, and he sits down, takes the cane and the crown from the little boy and sits on it and just like, I want this, and he's kind of, you see the kind of childish way that he wants the throne, and then Mako just points out to him, like, what good would you do on the throne? Like, if you were an Earth Kingdom citizen, would you want yourself in charge? And then Mako's like, oh wow, I was really harsh there. But then Wu says, like, no, you're right. No one's ever spoken to me like that before, but you're right. And I really see something important developing between the two, because Mako is the only one who seems to be able to, like, speak freely to him, because Wu respects Mako a lot for what he's done. So I could see something important developing here now that Wu seems to be a little bit more serious, that maybe there will be some sort of development where he will do something or go on some journey with Mako that he will endear himself to the people, while Kuvira, in dealing with maybe Korra coming back and all this other stuff, will vilify herself. And Wu may end up doing something where the people actually like him and respect him enough to put him on the throne. Yeah, super interesting episode. Anything else to mention? Wow, super cameo appearance for like Zuko's daughter. Like, didn't even speak, didn't get her name. That was a little bit disappointing. Because if we get to the end of this book and they don't say what her name is, they don't reveal who the mother is, people are going to be annoyed that it was just that cameo appearance that we saw in the trailer. I really hope we get to know her name at some point. I don't know when that will happen now, just because, will the world leaders even stay in the city now? I'm not really sure. But I think that's the whole episode. I covered pretty much. Again, it was a packed episode. There was a lot of things to discuss. A lot. Just Bolin obviously angry at Mako for disagreeing with him, and it's going to be interesting to see what eventually turns him against Kuvira, because when she made that speech, he was in there. He was the one person in the audience you focused on, and he was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And then he talks about how concerned he is before Kuvira comes in. So that'll be interesting to see where exactly that goes, and they've definitely set it up that there's a kind of feud between brothers, and it's something that we haven't really had that much. We had a little feud between them in book 2, but they really kind of got back together. They were friends again, towards the end. They had a little feud over, Korra and the whole relationship stuff in book 1. But this one seems big. It's I finally found something I want to do, and now you're not supporting me type thing. But Bolin's working for the enemy. Maybe he'll have a change of mind. Maybe he'll start kind of spying on Kuvira. That'll be something interesting going on, but I'm not sure. Oh, back to the Varrick stuff, actually. That was very interesting. There's one scene towards the end of the episode where Julie brings in the spirit vine, which is ooh, that's pretty nice. Send it to the lab or something like that. You're wondering, what's going on here? And, the magnet stuff that he referenced in book 3 came back with the magnet trains here. What's he doing with this? And then you get the final scene where he's analysing it. He's got it in a container, like a power cell type thing. So apparently he's trying to harness the power of these spirit vines. What I'm thinking is that these spirit vines seem somewhat invincible, in the sense that, you can't just burn them because they instantly grow back. You can't spirit bend them away because they just grow back even stronger. Maybe there's some level of he's harnessing this power because he thinks anything imbued with this power is invincible or will always regenerate or something like that. Or else it's just a power source, spiritual power source. That would be super interesting if the enemy is harnessing spiritual energy or something like that. But that's a mystery I wasn't expecting to have in the book, just this super secret power cell type thing. Maybe this is where Hiroshi comes into play. Asami doesn't know how to figure out what the technology is, goes to Hiroshi, and maybe they together figure it out. But I'll talk about that more in speculation later on. But yeah, that's been the review. I love this episode. While last episode was unique, I think this could be my favourite episode of the book, but I'm not really sure. Definitely want to see what other people's opinions are. I haven't looked at anyone else's thoughts on the episode. But yeah, I'll be talking about this episode more on the podcast this Sunday. Avatar Online Podcast Korra Roundtable for this episode. Hopefully it'll be myself, Troy, Kelly and Greg, Kelly and Greg are obviously back from New York Comic Con. We'll have their report on actually being at the convention, so that should be interesting. Maybe they'll have some extra little bits of information that we didn't get straight from the convention. Either way, you'll get some stories there. And then we'll discuss this episode in depth, more opinions and stuff like that. I'll have better thoughts on the episode as well, but yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.